Before we started working together, like what was going on in your life or business? Like, what was happening beforehand?
Well, I'm experiencing a lot of anxiety.
Mm.
Uh, I didn't really even put it in that sort of framing either at the time. I just knew that I was afraid a lot and very fearful and kind of like, if I remember back to myself, I was kind of looking at the world like with these wide eyes and just thinking everything was a dangerous situation for me in some way and always waiting for the worst possible thing to happen. Like my mind would go through the scenarios, it would play out like all the different things that could go terribly wrong with something. Um, yeah, it was a very heightened state to be living in. Um, Very exhausting and just like really draining. I was really tired all the time and just feeling like I can't do this anymore. Like
Mm-hmm.
it has to change, but I didn't know
Yeah.
what.
Yeah. Did you try anything else to work with it before you worked with me?
Kind of, I'd um got into nervous system regulation and polyvagal theory, which is amazing and so helpful and beneficial. But what I realized was that actually, if you're not dealing with the thing that's creating the anxiety, if you're just putting like there's great practices that can help you in the moment to calm the nervous system, but if you're not actually getting to the root cause, then you're just going to feel the same the next day. You're going to have to do your practices, and then you're just going to get in this loop. And it really, yeah, you need to address what's actually creating rise to the thing,
Mm.
anxiety. So yeah,
And then, so why did you choose to step in and do one-on-one work with me?
I I knew that I needed something that would hold me accountable and like doing stuff on my own and kind of finding breadcrumbs and piecing things together just was going to take too long. And I was already really exhausted. So that wasn't an option for me. I knew that I needed something, and I had worked with you previously, and I know through what we had done before, I was like, I know that if I'm with you working in a very held container where we're working together on something, that it has no chance of not shifting. Like that's gonna happen. So yeah, that was I just knew that that was what I needed to do in that yeah moment.
Mm. Was there anything that almost stopped you saying yes to jumping in and working with me in this way?
Oh yeah, like feeling afraid to go on the journey because it's like, oh, this is probably going to be quite confronting. I'm going to have to face some stuff. Like, I don't know what that is, but I know that there's something going on. I'm going to have to be really vulnerable, which is scary. Um, I think at the time, finance for me was, it's always a thing to consider. Like, what else? I I always, when this happens, whenever I put myself into a container of something, probably the 2 weeks beforehand, I try and think of every reason why I should stop and not I should cancel this and I'm not going to do it, and all of that stuff comes up in the mind, and then I'm pretty good now at recognizing that that's happening. But yeah, a while ago I didn't know, and I just really believed that I absolutely should stop, stop the process. But there's that kind of inner knowing, like, no, this is needed, and
Mm.
that I have to just step into it if I really, really want the change to take place. And I knew that, when something it's uncomfortable for a while, you can live in it in the discomfort, even though it's uncomfortable. But after a while, like it's more uncomfortable now to not change it. I have to go through that little bit of discomfort in the confronting of something, to feel the relief afterwards. Yeah, rather than the
Mm.
constant uncomfortable pattern. Yeah.
And so, what helped you to trust then that stepping in with me was right for you?
Um, it would have been that we had worked together before, so I knew that I had experience of the transformation that occurs when we work together. So it's like, oh yeah, no, just go with it. Just do it. And I think there was a bit of serendipity around it showing up at the right time. Like you were taking on new people at the moment that I was like, I need something. And I also really deeply believe that we're not supposed to do all of this on our own. Um, we're supposed to have mentors and people who can see what we can't see. Like I knew there was stuff that I couldn't see, and I knew that it would come up in this container. So it's like that's trusting that that is like a law of the universe, right? Like,
Mm.
and just going with that was really helpful too. I just had to had to do it. Mm.
Was there any part of working with me that surprised you when we were actually in it?
I mean, I always get aha moments. I always have epiphanies. There's always things that come to light, and that's always like, that's surprising in the moment what's revealed. So yeah, in that respect, yeah, like, and that's with every time we would come into one-on-one, that would happen every single time. So yeah, there would always be something that would unlock and shift and more light brought to something. So I had more information, knowing, okay, now I see that's at play. Now I know how to work with it more skillfully, know what to do with that. Um, yeah, yeah. So
Mm.
even though it's like confronting, it's also delighting and freeing all at the same time.
Yeah. Do you
Yeah.
remember if there's a specific practice or conversation or framework that really shifted something for you?
I really liked when we were working together, we would work through and go through into the body and digest and devour what was showing up in real time. Even if I didn't know really what I needed to bring to you at the moment, in that moment, we would just sort of start with the blah blah in the mind, and then we would just go through and deeper and inquire and get into the body, and everything just gets revealed. And that is just the most powerful thing that I've ever experienced through any work that I've ever done. Like I've done counseling, in the mind, talking in the story, and it really didn't that for me never really worked. So this getting into the truth is inside and there's it's all there. You don't need to exactly know what it is. It's going to be revealed. And so that process of working in that way is just like that's incredible. Yeah.
Mm. So, what feels different now in your life and your work and your relationships? Yeah, what's different now having done the work with me?
Well, at that time, I was experiencing what I realize now was extreme anxious attachment, and I'd come into this relationship, and everything was coming up for me. As you know, when you come into a relationship with somebody, the the stuff starts to arise, and this was just on fire for me. This anxious attachment, and what I started to realize was that I needed to create a sense of safety within myself that's not to come from anyone else. I was outsourcing all of my safety. And that's a very shaky place to be because that's not guaranteed and it's outside of you. So you're always at the mercy of someone else creating it. And I realized I actually needed to create that within myself. And the process of working with you on the things that would come up, because there's lots of threads that have run through life based on that anxious attachment. And we started to work with each of those threads kind of individually. And then that would release the patterns that I was using or attaching to, or some of the fears, a lot of fear and anxious attachment. And um, as that started to shift, then more safety came in. And now I haven't done a new, like, attachment quiz, but I would think now that I would feel secure. Like I don't have the noise, the fear, the gripping. I'm not at the mercy of that anymore. I feel like that as a system playing out within my system is gone. It's like epic. Yeah. Mm.
That's so awesome. So then how do you feel or believe or act differently now from this place?
There's like I said, there's a little bit, it's more quiet in my mind. It's not like something's always playing on going, what about this? What if this happens? What if, thinking about situation with your partner going, oh, what if they see this person? What if this happens? Or surely they're gonna like meet someone else when they're out there. Like really mind fabricated stuff. None of that's there. In terms of how I relate, right? It's amazing. How I relate now in my relationship, it's how do I put it? It's like from a place of truth rather than being overlaid with that mechanism of the anxious attachment. So I can actually relate on a more vulnerable and more authentic, that's what I'm looking for, more authentic layer of me because I'm not relating through fear and I'm not trying to control my partner and I'm not trying to grip on and I'm not doing anything like that. I can actually allow him to just be himself without it making me feel like that's going to actually be the death of me. Like that's what it felt like. It was so threatening that I would cease to exist if things happened. Like that's just how sticky it was in my mind.
Mm.
Yeah.
That's
It's
incredible.
how the relationship feels different without all that going on.
Yeah.
Like, mhm.
Oh, that's incredible. So, what would you say to someone who is considering doing one-on-one with me, who may not have worked with me in the past or may not have know me at all? What would you say to that person?
Oh, you just must because you just can't go wrong. There's a there's a magic and an alchemy that is taking place. And I think even the fact that if you're watching any of this, you've come through because something in you knows that it wants to find the truth. And that is what's available through this work. And you just have to trust it. You have to do it.
And then if a friend asked you, like, is this worth it? Is it worth spending this money? What would you say to that person?
Yeah, I would say absolutely. Like the value that I place in the freedom that I've received and experienced now is just like you can't actually put a monetary value on it. It doesn't, they don't, they don't line up. And now I'm just like new offerings. I'm just like, take my money. I want the experience. I know that I'm going to experience awesome things and get more insight and more shifts. And yeah, for me, it's just, yeah, it's a no-brainer now. Yeah.
What's anything else you want to add about what it's like to work with me or to go through the process?
I don't know, just a little bit more on that piece, the magic, when you're working with the field, like there's this, that's probably one of my favorite things about it, that it always surprises, that's a surprise actually. Yeah, it's just how things are all working on this kind of layer, universal energy that kind of, it's all bubbling through and yeah, there's no other way to describe it than a magic in that it finds you and it brings the right people at the right time and it brings the right insights and revelations all at the right time and there's so much serendipity in everything and yeah it's amazing, it's indescribable and I love it. Yeah, so when you decide to invest in a journey like this, it's like it backs up your willingness. So you get like this double down on your willingness. And as long as your willingness is activated, like there's nothing in the way. Like you will create the shifts that you want because your will is involved.